Hey guys, welcome back. I'm doing a bonus little midweek video because it is Christmas. It just feels right. I didn't want to commit to 2 videos a week in December, but I really want to try my hardest to do it because I did it last year. I loved it. Even though in December the plant niche is like a little bit crickets, but that was like my most favorite time on YouTube doing those vlogs. And I didn't want to commit to doing it this year because last year I was on holidays when I did the 2 videos a week. So I was basically like filming and editing every day. I'm still working through Christmas, so I don't know how well I can keep this up for this month, but I'm pretty sure if I put my mind to it, I can. So I've basically been crunching numbers all day. So I came in here to check on new growth, get some, plenty serotonin. It dawned on me that there's like a bunch of plants that I hadn't shown you that I've been acquiring over the last few months. Some of them were just like surprise little plants that found its way in my care, and some of them were ones that like I went and traded or purchased. So I thought I'd show you those. I thought I'd bring you around the plant room and just show you some random growth updates, and I'm hoping to get maybe like a 30 to 45 minute video out of this. I am really excited to show you some growth updates. Those are like my favorite videos to film because I just get so giddy showing you new growth, and like I'm very surprised how well some of my anthuriums are growing in terms of size in the winter. And maybe I shouldn't be surprised because anthuriums are known for like being quite happy with temperature drops, but it's surprising nonetheless. So I just wanted to show you some few things. So we'll start with the new plants and we'll end with the growth updates. Okay, so first plant was a total surprise. So last week, no, this was like 2 weeks ago, there was a live sale. So every other week, or Lauren's trying every other week to do a live sale on her Northern Tropicals Instagram. So me and Charmaine have been helping a lot with them. Jesse also helps with them. Jose also helps with them. I talk about Jesse quite a bit, or I have been recently. So he showed up with like a bin of plants to sell, and there was another bin full of like gift bags, like proper like gift wrap gift bags, and I was like, what are those? And he had one bag for each of us, like me, Charmaine, Lauren, Jose, Anna, and I was so shocked to get this from him, and it was just so sweet. He gave us each an anthurium. These are anthuriums he's grown from seed that he ordered from Cartel Down in May, so it would have been around 6 months, and this is 6 months growth from seed from a freaking wizard. This is Anthurium Bigfoot Self. He knew that this was on my radar because I featured it in my Indonesian Anthuriums to add to your wishlist video, this one right here. And this is like such a cool plant. I'll put the photo of the mother plant here. I believe it is some sort of Indonesian no ID hybrid. And basically in that video, I was talking about like how cool that can be and how so many awesome plants are coming out of Indonesia, and they were like poo-pooed because you couldn't trace the lineage back. But now people are kind of coming around to how cool that can actually turn out to be. Case in point, King of Spades or HU, Dark Phoenix, like some of the best plants in the hobby come from Indonesia, and you can't really trace back the parentage of these plants. You just appreciate it because it looks so cool. So this is Bigfoot Selfed, which to me means that I can expect like a good amount of variation or difference from the mother, but I do also see quite a lot of similarities. So first of all, you've got that red sinus. You don't see so much of like the fall off of the veins, like that Carla-esque fall off just yet, but it's such a baby, so we'll see how it presents 3 leaves down the road. And it's also quite dark. It has a pretty red margin. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see that. It is growing in what looks to be tree fern soil. My favorite mix right now, with a leca reservoir layer at the bottom, and it's just sitting in a swamp, a little swamp, a dome which he's soldered on holes. I'm so happy to have this. Jesse, if you're watching, you have no idea how happy this made me. He had 4 seeds, yeah, 4 seeds of the same selfing, and he had one that's Bigfoot Goliath, and he gave that one to Charmaine. So I think she's, as we speak, filming a video of it right now, so you'll probably see it on her channel. And I'm very curious to see how they're gonna look different as they grow up, because Goliath looks so different. It's like very minimal veining, so dark, more like green fading to like cream color venation, It has like a very leathery texture. So those two together, I'm very curious to see which way it's gonna go. And it's already been planted to set it up for like a good size up because it is quite small and it's in quite a big vessel for being quite small. So yeah, what a wonderful Christmassy surprise. Speaking of Jessie, this one is another Jessie plant that's not doing the greatest. Root-wise, it's doing fine, but the leaf is showing some damage. So this one is Anthurium SP Silver Peru. This one was like very intriguing to me. He had a prop of this sold in one of the live sales a couple of months ago, and like I kept saying how I regretted not picking it up, and it was sold for such a good price. I think it was like $50 or something. So he propped it again, and then he brought it to one of the live sales, or yeah, he brought it to one of the live sales, and I wasn't there on the first day. So this is one of those like pop-up weekends where a lot of tropical stuff came in, and then Lauren set up a bunch of sales tables, and she had some of her own plants, and she had some of Jessie's plants there. And Lauren messaged me and was like, isn't this on your wish list? And I was like, yes. Why don't you leave it on the sales table, and if it doesn't sell by the time I get there, which is like the last day of the sale, I was planning to be there. This was on Friday when she texted me, and I was like, if it's still there on Sunday, it's meant to be. I showed up on Sunday. It was still there, but it had been tucked away to like a back shelf that is like off limits to the public. And I was like, well, I mean, you really didn't put it out for sale, did you? So I took it home. I was very happy about it. I ended up trading him a plant for it. One of the yellow variegated monsteras that I chopped up. It was already rooted in Leica, which is Jessie's preferred medium. So he was very happy. I was very happy. I am a little concerned about this. I do plan on repotting this just because it's not that I don't like growing in Leica, but I don't think I have the nutrients for Leica, being like a completely nutritionless substrate. Jessie grows using the general hydroponics, like the 3-part nutrient lineup. I don't use that. I could. I'm intrigued by it, but I've never done it. So I will get this into tree fern soil. In fact, while we go around looking for plants, I'm going to get a bin. I'm going to be filling this bin with plants that need to be repot, because I find that when things are all like kind of consolidated together, I can just take the whole bin. It motivates me a lot more to like bring it. When the plants are like kind of all scattered around, it's really easy for me to be like, oh, I'll do it later. But if it's all in one spot, if it's all packed up like that, it actually incentivizes it for me a lot more. But this plant is so interesting. So it's kind of similar to luxurians in more ways than one. So the first thing is that it has like a very glossy, kind of pebbly texture. Luxurians also can be very silver when they're juvenile, and a lot of the sellers are selling luxurians platinum, which then in people's conditions turn full green. And I think it's kind of the same with the SP Silver Peru, because it does have a little bit of like a glaucous sheen, but to my knowledge, and I've been kind of following this plant on Facebook and people posting different pictures of it and their care and how it grows and how the colors persist or don't persist, it does look like they do fade to green or start to produce more green. The one that I saw that Jessie had brought to the sale was very silver, and it was really juvenile, like the leaf was maybe like that big. It also has a petiole that looks just like luxurians. It's like winged and squared. It has the ruffles up to the top. I'm very intrigued by this, and it is quite a pretty one, very narrow. I feel like maybe it will do better in tree fern soil. It has like rooted out in the leca, so I don't know why it's doing this. Maybe it just didn't have enough roots to sustain the leaf, and it was getting a little bit thirsty in my dry plant room air. Who knows? But yeah, it's going into the repot bin. A few months ago, this was for my birthday in July, I got the sweetest birthday gift from Anna, who also works at the shop. This is her handle. She's freaking hilarious. She doesn't post that much on Instagram, but if you ever have the pleasure of seeing her at the shop or seeing her sometimes on the live sales when she makes an appearance, she's a freaking hoot. So this one is a little baby, which I used to own. This is Zara Michelle, but it's like a Zara F2 crossed with a Michelle F3. I actually purchased a little seedling from this batch, which is, I don't recall It was an American seller and someone brought in a whole bunch of seeds and seedlings up to Canada. I bought one, Charmaine bought one, and I think Jing bought one. I could be wrong, but I think all three are dead. I know for sure mine is dead, and I know Charmaine's is dead. I don't know if Jing's is still alive. I feel like Anna probably bought like several of them because she gave me one and she also gave Charmaine one. This one is just so cute. I'm so glad I've been able to keep it alive. I immediately potted it from moss. It was in a moss, like maybe like 2-inch pot with moss, and I brought it home and I immediately put it into tree fern fiber. Yes, this is just tree fern fiber, no soil. The little pond layer at the bottom. That was when I had run out of leca. But actually the pond layer has been working really well on a lot of plants. And it's grown, I want to say 3 leaves. I think this one grew my carrot. Yeah, this one grew, then this one, then this one. Oh no, accidentally ripped the tip off of this leaf. I mean, it's not showing up very well. It does look more pink in person, especially the mid-rim is quite pink, but I don't think it's showing up. But I'm actually so thrilled to have this plant because I really like this hybrid. Don't ask me to tell you the difference between Zara and Michelle because I can't get them straight. I never really tried to like really study them and find the differences and be able to say like one is more like purple and one is more pink or red. I feel like it's something like that, or maybe the venation's different, but to me they look so similar. It's all Wonder Boy genes, right? This one is starting to size up a little bit. I specifically got it into quite a large pot compared to before, so the pot before would have been probably like this wide, just to try to speed up the growth. And it's currently growing inside one of my propagation domes, just because it was such a tiny little baby, but it can probably move out sometime soon. Oh yeah, it's a pretty strong light. It's like a Monios 24 watt bar, so I feel like it's probably ready to come out into my tent and live under the Barenas because they're way, way, way less strong. And you can see it's kind of getting a little bit light bleach now. You know what? I'll do it right now. I'll put it in the tent. Super, super random. This is something a little, I guess, rescue I brought from the shop last week. I don't know the name of this, but I thought I'd document it anyways, just in case it grows into something cool. So this was a plant that Lauren chopped the top off of because the stem was too long, and it's Anthurium. I don't know where it's from, what it's called. The tag was lost. Lauren doesn't know, but this is what it looks like. It's very interesting. It's not a fusinus, but it's like has no lobes, and its lateral veins are so horizontal, and that texture is kind of velvety, and the leaf is not very thick. It's kind of on the thin side, and I thought it looked so interesting. And she was like, I'm throwing it out, talking about the stump, and I was like, don't throw it out, just like put it in a dome and then let it grow into like a baby plant and sell it. And she's like, no, I'm gonna throw it out. You want it? She was like, oh. And I was like, oh. And she's like, huh. Huh. It's like that Spider-Man meme. I was like, I'll take it home and grow it. Dang it. So if you actually know what plant this is, let me know. Next one is a cute little baby. This is a little collaboration. It's dripping water. It's a little collaboration between Lauren and Charmaine. So the mother plant is Charmaine's Hoff X, Indo Hoff X, which they often, or at least they used to often sell as Dressleri. That's what we bought it under, knowing it wasn't Dressleri, but we thought it was cute. And Lauren's Red Crystallinum. So I love it when these little cool little hybrids happen because we just share these little seedlings. And this one is so freaking adorable. This newest leaf is showing the silver. It is dripping water all over my floor. I'm very excited to see what this one's gonna look like. I have doubts that it's going to show red just because red is recessive. But at the same time, the Hoff X does show red, especially on the abaxial. I used to have that plant. Something in me is telling me not to expect red in this, but I think it will be very cute. I believe the Red Crystallinum is a Tuzula Red Crystallinum. I don't know, it's just like, they're very, very freaking cute. I'm very much looking forward to seeing this one grow up. And this one is in Lauren's Shop Mix, which I don't believe has any tree fern in it. So it's coco coir, coco chunks, perlite, fir bark, worm castings. Did I miss anything? I don't think so. It's a nice gritty mix that she filters out quite a lot of the big chunks for her seedlings. I've been enjoying using it quite a bit. So if you see like a soil plant from the shop, that is this mix. Speaking of seeds from friends, this one is very exciting. I've never opened this, but this one is from Jing. This is her Dark Phoenix Selfed. If you're in Canada, you might have been able to get your hands on a couple of these. She probably got like 180 seeds from this batch. And I think she released around 50, 30 to 50. Here are 2 seeds. One of them, where they're both technically germinated, but only one of them has produced a leaf for me. But I am so excited to see this one grow, and like I specifically wanted 2 seeds just because I wanted to, like I know they're gonna present somewhat differently. Dark Phoenix doesn't present so differently when it's selfed versus like, Ace of Spades Dark Form. So Ace of Spades Dark Form can produce like very kind of silvery plants that doesn't look at all like Ace of Spades. Dark Phoenix always kind of looks like it's Dark Phoenixy. It might not look just like the parent plant. It might be a little bit greener. It might be a little bit less pillowy. I've been seeing some Dark Phoenix Self little seedlings come in through Indonesia at the shop, and they're all very, very cute. And I can see Dark Phoenix in all of them. I just don't think they're all the same, but some of them are really bumpy. So this one is currently planted in tree fern with like a bunch of perlite. It looks like there's some bark? No. Random moss. There's some random moss in there. And it's been living in this like a dome kind of situation. And it lives just inside my tent, kind of as close to the grow light as I can get it. I'm still looking forward to when I can self my Dark Phoenix. But honestly, at this point, I'm more interested in breeding it with something else, because Dark Phoenix genes are so strong, so strong. Like they almost rival Bessier Af, Luxurians. Like they overpower a lot of other things, which is just amazing. It's such a good parent for a hybrid. I'm gonna show you some like good and bad stuff because I'm looking for stuff to put to my repot bin, but one of the good ones is this Red Crystallinum Luxurians from Woohoo Tropicals. I have no words. I have no words for this plant. I knew it was gonna be really pretty because when we got it, it was, okay, so this leaf was like the newest hardened leaf, and it was just hardening off this leaf, which when we got it, it was like holographic purple, red. It had such a beautiful, beautiful oily sheen. So I already knew it was gonna be really pretty. I just wasn't really super expecting this size up. And it has really loved that tree fern soil that I planted it in. So it was my tree fern mix mixed kind of half-half with their soil mix that they sent the plants in. Has the little Laevieria at the bottom. I've been sitting it in like a deeper saucer. Ideally, I would put it in something even deeper so I can keep more of a reservoir up to where the Laevieria is, but this is fine. When this leaf emerged, it was such a beautiful dark, like plummy, leaning more towards red color. And it was just such an elongated shape, and I really love how tiny the pebbles are on this plant. Like it doesn't have big, bumpy, pillowy, puffy kind of Luxurians genes. I will show you another Luxurians hybrid later on because I want to show you another Lux hybrid leaf. But this is so pretty, is it not? It's so pretty. This is probably the biggest plant that they sent us. It was like, if you minus these 2 leaves, it was probably like this big, but it was definitely like on the bigger side. Everything in that box was like around, I assume around the same age, but oh my gosh, this plant. This plant. I have a couple of sad guys, and I think I know why this one is sad. This one is from Cartel Down. This one's blue papalamnum crossed with Port Sherman. I kind of was letting it do its thing because it was growing. It was kind of yellowing off old leaves like this. And then it grew another leaf that was like a upsize, like that. And then it grew another leaf. This almost feels like it's close to hardening off, but it didn't harden off. Like it didn't expand very much. And I see that there is a bit of rot down here. It does kind of look like dry rot. See this like deflation, like a deflated balloon. I think I'll do what I did with my my Bigfoot blue pap. I repotted this, I think it was in my Anthurium FOMO video. It has been rooting well in this mix. I trust Honestly, you guys, I trust tree fern soil with my life. So I do expect that it will kind of bounce back. It did push a new leaf. There's, I don't know, it won't probably focus on it, but this is the emergent leaf. So I'll probably do the same thing. I'll put it into like a bigger pot, same tree fern soil mix, a little bit of leca at the bottom. So this one's gonna go in the bin. Not the garbage bin, the repot bin. This one, this is not a repot. This one is just a fun growth update. This is my BVEP or Antilacii from Amanda, which is originally bred by Grant Gostad. It just popped a leaf. It's a little bit slower than my other BVEP, which was originally from Paul through Amanda. This leaf is so cute. It is so round. I so love how round it is at the bottom, like that. I'll show you my other BVEP, which is just hardening off since the last time I showed it. The shape is quite different, you see? But this one, the leaf shape is very consistent with the leaf that it was sent with. It also has the round little bottom. Oh my gosh, are you joking? It is so cute. I am so excited to have two such different BVEPs. Say what you will, but I think that looks very, very, very different. These two, actually, these were planted in tree fern without soil. And I treat it the same. It has a leca layer at the bottom. I try not to let it dry out, and so I let it sit in a little bit of water. As soon as the roots start to fill out the pot, I'm gonna move it to tree fern soil because I want to keep it sizing up. Because wouldn't it be so cool for them to be flowering? I think that they're like somewhat close to flowering age. They are caterpillar stage. I don't know, like I have a Carla BVEP that's already flowering, which is about this size, like the size of the leaf. So you know what? You never know. Oh, this one has been on my repot list for so long. This is my green form Ace of Spades. Not looking its best. I'm looking at the roots. It looks pretty good. I mean, it definitely has lots of healthy roots in here. And it's so algae ridden that sometimes you can't really tell if that's rotten or just covered in algae. But I think this is a great candidate for tree fern soil. And I also at the same time, the main reason why I want to repot it is to separate this little pup because it's so pretty. I want to grow it separately. I know this plant is on Charmaine's wish list. I told her eventually she'll have a piece of it, but I said I need a bit more time with this guy just to enjoy him. I had a suspicion that maybe it grew an offset because maybe the top growth was damaged somehow or that it had dried out and died. But I'm looking at it right now and it's actually active. So I'm excited to be able to separate this because it's so pretty. I don't know what it is about my conditions that produces really sharp leaves. Some people have commented that they also grow really sharp leaves and no one seems to know why. Oftentimes it will have to do with like quite high light. So the plant doesn't need as much surface area to photosynthesize with, but I wouldn't say like it's in very, very bright conditions. Like my Barinas, the T5s aren't that strong. They're like strong enough to grow plants. Obviously, they're very good lights, but they're not like Mother lights or Soltec lights or Russo lights that are like 32 watts. They're only 10 watts per bar and it has really only one on top of it, kind of a foot away, and then one kind of vertically right here at the front of the tent, pointing somewhat in its direction, but it's definitely not being blasted with light. Like I think this one is not the easiest plant because Lauren struggles with her mother plant, which is like where this plant comes from. I'm going to put my trust in tree fern soil to be able to revive this thing. Yeah, it definitely needs to be done. It needs to be dealt with like tonight. I'm not gonna put it off anymore. I have been on this kick where like if I see something that needs to be done, I'm trying to keep myself to doing it right then and there, which I know this method won't work for everybody, but it has been working for me where if I see like, oh, that baseboard is dusty, I'm gonna do it right now. And this is so that I don't get overwhelmed with like a massive list of to-dos and then spiral into like feeling bad about myself and stuff like that. I just want to ride this train of productivity. And by productivity, I mean like it's not even that it's all to generate income or to like do the hustle. It's more investing into myself to make myself feel good so that I can be productive in like a career sense. I don't think I'm making sense, but it makes sense in my head. Okay, please ignore the mess that is my plant room. But look at this leaf. I don't know how I'm gonna convey to you the sheer size of it. Maybe I'm gonna have to pull it out. I am struggling in this space because this room is very small and I have so much equipment around me and bins and things like that. Maybe I'll have to like get next to the plant. So some of you might recall that I had like a batch of seeds that I didn't really like super plan on doing. It was like a whatever kind of pollination. So this is the mom, and the dad is, or the pollen parent is this Forgetii that was flowering at the same time. This one's receptive. This one is actually the one that somehow pollinated itself maybe, or just got some flyby pollen from another plant near it, but I didn't pollinate this one. So together these two made a batch of seeds. I was very, very impressed with this plant because it didn't start declining after producing such a big infructescence, and on the contrary, it actually put out like this freaking massive leaf. And it's still quite floppy, but it's about the size of my head plus to here. It actually makes this shelf that it's on look really out of proportion because it is so massive, and it makes other plants that I thought was a pretty decent size look tiny. Like my King of Spades that's right here, it's not a bad size, but next to that plant it looks like a seedling. So I posted this plant on my Instagram story as it was hardening, because when it emerged it was so massive. The emergent leaf when it was curled up was probably like that big, which by Anthurium standards is pretty massive. So I've been posting updates on my stories, and then, you know, these things showed up. So some people have been asking like what causes those spots, and really it's like, if you imagine a leaf going from this to this size in a matter of like 2 weeks, it's a lot of like cell division, a lot of expanding, and in dry conditions. So it's like winter time right now, the heater's on, it's cold, plants dry out quickly. I have been pretty good about keeping this one watered, but it's also transpiring a lot of moisture into the atmosphere. So that's essentially what this is. This one has been growing in ambient conditions for quite a long time, so it is used to this humidity, but at the same time, it is extra dry in the winter, and it's such a big leaf that's expanding. So this is what I just call stretch marks, and it doesn't bother me because I would so rather have these little like holes in the leaf than like speckles from spider mites. And this, I think, should be a testament to the powers of beneficial mites, the predatory mites. The ones that I've been using are called these ones, copper spickle ultimites. And I can't tell you how much joy it brings me to see an emergent anthurium leaf without spider mite damage. It just feels like a cause for celebration. We've been dealing with spider mites for over a year, and it's been so disheartening, to be honest. And like, it's like you wait so long for a leaf and you're so excited about it, and it expands to a certain size, and you see all this damage on it from these freaking mites that you've been putting your blood, sweat, and tears into trying to eradicate. And I'm just so happy to see this leaf. It just brings me joy in more ways than one. And there's something just magical about seeing a leaf so big and so velvety and so pretty. Did I even say what this plant was? I don't even think I said what this plant was. This one is like, it's basically an endomag, which means that it's not a pure magnificum. If I will just carefully show you the petioles, it is squared off at the top but rounded at the bottom. So a pure magnificum will be like a perfect square, somewhat winged. But yeah, I would pretty safely say that any magnificum coming out of Indonesia is not a pure mag, and this one's definitely not a pure mag, but it's like what I would assume is a very mag leaning crystal mag, or mag crystal, something like that. And it's beautiful, and I love her. This one was just like a rescue from North Shore Tropicals. She had way too many of these like Indonesian mother plants. She had this massive greenhouse. She finished the lease on that greenhouse and moved back to her shop in North Van, and there's just no space for all these mothers. So she was just like, just take a couple, and I took home 2. This one was definitely my favorite of the 2, and this one's the one that I kept. The other one I've already sold, but this one's definitely the biggest anthurium leaf I've ever grown, and it brings me so much joy. Okay, another one that's bringing me so much joy. I said I'd bring you to the plants, but this is easier. This is my Crystal Lux from Amanda. So this one I repotted from pond to pond. It was like an upsize, and I just want to show you the upsize in the leaf. So for quite a while, it was putting out leaves about this size, and there were like very small differences between each other. It was just kind of stuck at this size. And then after a while, this one came out. Didn't form very well. It was like very asymmetrical, looks a little bit stunted on the edges. And then the other leaves were doing that luxuriance thing where it like yellows off at the edges. This one's almost kind of doing it a little bit. So I was like, it's probably drying out too much for its liking. Lux and Lux hybrids tend to do that. They just don't want to dry out. That's what I think. Some people will say they like a dry cycle. Mine have never done well with a dry cycle. So it went from, I don't have another vessel of that same size, but it was kind of similar to like this to this, like a similar upsize. I thought I'd just keep it in pond. I don't know why I didn't move it to tree fern soil, but it seems to like it. And this leaf is so pillowy. And so I wanted to show you this because it's so different from my other Lux hybrid, the Red Crystal Lux. Like this one, if I tilt you a little bit to the side, is so puffy. So it's puffy, like the overall leaf is puffy, but the bullations are a lot more pebbly, not pebbly, bumpy, just bumpier. I'll show them to you side by side. There we go. That definitely looks like two different plants, right? This one is very like flat bumps, and this one is super pillowy bumps, and together they are heaven. This one also has, it's not that noticeable, but it does have a little hole in it. But this one is like finally getting some size on it. We got this from her maybe a year and a bit ago. So it's taken a while. I don't know why it took me so long to come around to the fact that like you should be upsizing your pots very regularly. I think it just really served my laziness to not upsize them and say that like they don't need to be repot, you just need to water them more often. But like this makes it so much easier. Everything that I have repot into quite a big pot in the last month or two or three, they have all responded with bigger leaves. So I could have been doing this whole time. I'm just kind of like smacking myself a little bit, but better late than never. And hopefully me telling you this means that you don't repeat the same mistakes that I made with anthuriums. Just upsize your pots. And if you know the substrate well, and you know the plant well, and you know your watering, you know, style well, don't be afraid of getting it into quite a big pot compared to like the previous pot. Okay, I think I've abandoned bringing the camera to the plants. So we're just gonna bring the plants to the camera. This is my Queen of Hearts Inflow it put out. Is that not the prettiest Inflow ever? I love this plant, but I was not expecting an Inflow this pretty. It's so freaking pink. They match each other so well. I mean, I can't even tell you how delightful this is. It's such a pretty color. It kind of looks a bit like a Twizzler, but a bit more pink with this beautiful pink cape. I wish this was a plant that was readily, like would readily take pollen, that you could hybridize easily, but from all accounts, it's quite a difficult plant to hybridize. It's really hard to get it to take, and it's hard to get other inflows to take its pollen. Me and Lauren both have one that's basically at exactly the same stage in flowering. Hers is quite a lot bigger than mine. We were both talking about like, what do we have to lose? We're just gonna save the pollen from these inflows and try it on something, maybe on each other's, because maybe that's a little bit more likely to take than selfing our own. I don't know, but I just want to try it because what's the worst that can happen? But I definitely wanted to document this inflow because of how beautiful it is. I actually think Carla Blackie has such a pretty inflow. It's like white, but it has this like baby pink. I've never seen in person an anthurium flower that's like pink on pink. And I know anthurium flowers are not like pretty, right? In like the flower sense. When you think about flowers, this is not the prettiest flower in the world, but this is one of the prettier anthurium flowers. So I was saying like mine is not that big. I had acclimated this down from the tent. So this one was the leaf that was grown inside the tent. Quite a nice big size. And then this was the leaf after it. So it is slightly smaller, not by a lot, but it is smaller. But at least it hardened without any spider mite damage, and it hardened like fully without any damage at all, which was actually quite impressive in my eyes, because it went from tent straight out to my living room, or not my living room, my plant room in ambient conditions, no humidifier, no nothing. And it was starting to get like colder. So we're going into winter with like the heater and stuff. So pretty good. Okay, I think we have time for one more growth update before I have to go make dinner. This one is a good and a bad one. Well, that's lethal. This makes me so nervous. Well, at least it was, oh my gosh. You guys are probably cringing with me picking up these pieces with my bare hands. Do not do this at home. I do this all the freaking time because I work with broken glass a lot in coffee shops. So what happened was I bumped my UPI, which had this rock, this silly little rock that Charmaine gave me. It had this rock inside, and then it fell out and then dropped right on that vessel. Okay, we're not gonna touch that. I'm gonna show you this plant and then we're gonna call it a day. So this one is a good and bad update. This is my Anthurium Laevieria, which I pollinated not so long ago. It failed. It's finally dying now. For a little while, it was looking good. It was swelling, it was getting fatter, it was turning greener, and it decided it didn't want to be a mom, which, you know what? Fine. You're not gonna be a mom. Not this time, at least. I did collect the pollen off of it. I'm trying not to show you this plant because it's hanging so low and I don't want to damage the new leaf, but yeah, it is going. And I'm just gonna let it like kind of reabsorb the nutrients. And once this is like pretty shriveled, once it's starting to wrinkle, then I'll probably cut it off. But every day looking at this is really sad. Just like, we could have had it all, but we didn't. So this is the new leaf it pushed out instead of producing berries, and it is so freaking magical. I'll pop in a photo of when it was first emerged because this is the most red I have ever seen. It usually puts out like a bronzy emergent leaf, but this was like bright cherry red, candy apple red. So cool. And then it started to turn into that like bronzy blushy color that I'm more used to. Actually, this is still more pinky red than when lilies usually are for me on this plant. Usually it leans more orange, but this is a lot more reddy, like a dusty red. It's so pretty. Now that it's flowering kind of like one after the other, I'm looking forward to trying to pollinate it again. But if anyone knows what type of Wendlingeri this one might be, please let me know. Just to show you some of the leaves. They're not that dimply. They are more shiny, I would say, than other Wendleys. Certainly more shiny than the JV Wendley that Charmaine has that we got from Amanda. So Amanda's mother plant is not, it's a little bit more, it's not velvety, but not this glossy. And it's really stiff, really stiff. I'm trying to see what other features I can show you. It's got the Wendley Inflow. I think pretty standard deciduous sheaths. That is really hard to say. Deciduous sheaths. Deciduous sheaths. These leaves have been fully hardened for months and months, and it is still quite glossy. If anybody knows or has any guesses, not that it really super matters to me, but I'm just curious. I would like to know. And I guess the emergent leaf, if it makes any difference. But yeah, failed pollination, but new leaf. I'll take a new leaf. All right, I think I'm gonna call it now because I've broken a bunch of glass and I'm getting really hungry. Hope you enjoyed this bonus little random whatever video. I so wish it would have been more Christmassy than this, but if you didn't notice already, I've had Christmas music playing in the background this whole time. Like this, see? Just to get you into the holiday cheer. I'm hoping next week I'll be able to film something a little bit more Christmassy for you guys. But until then, I'm going to be working hard so I can pay for all my Christmas indulgences and try to fit you guys into as much Christmassy things that I do. But at the same time, I do want to make sure I enjoy myself, enjoy the season, because I wait all year for Christmas and it's finally upon us. So anyways, I'm rambling now. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I will see you in the next one. Mwah.